So I've been wondering, why would a visionary leader find solace in quilting? Like, why would we do that? And I was just reminded by a friend of mine that when you think back and you think about the people who quilted in our ancestry days, in early America, and old times, in the Victorian times, right? Were they quilting because they were grounded, or were they grounded and that's why they were quilting? Like, I don't know. It's kind of a chicken and egg conversation, right? Well, I've discovered quilting a few years ago, probably 3 years ago now, and it has made a lot of difference in my life. So I thought I'd share with you some of my ideas about that, because maybe you too can find pieces in this creative endeavor that you can apply to your creative life. The first thing quilting has taught me, as a person who is a perfectionist, as a person who is very skilled in many, many things over my lifetime, is that a beginner's mind is essential to not have a nervous breakdown. I didn't know what I was getting into when I started quilting at all. What happened was I was volunteering in my church bookstore with my good friend, and she's a quilter. I didn't really understand what all that meant at that time. And so I had never quilted. I had sewn when I was younger and in high school and my early college days. I'd made a lot of my own clothes, but I never quilted, and I didn't have any reference point at all. Now that's important when I tell you that she, one day when we were volunteering, picked her camera up or her phone up and showed me this picture of this quilt. And it was 3-dimensional looking, and it was geometric, and it was amazing. She goes, "I'm gonna make this quilt." So of course, what did me, the visionary leader, maverick person, do? I said, I have to make one too. So she goes, "Well, I'll introduce you to the people who are teaching the class." And she went through this whole long thing. I had no idea what that meant either. I said, "Okay, I want to go meet the people and I want to take the class. I know how to sew, and I have a sewing machine in my closet, so that won't be hard." I had no idea what it was going to take. So I go to meet this person, and he was amazing. And I found out later, was an international quilting award winner. I didn't even know there were awards in quilting, much less, I had no concept here, right? So I go, and he's asking me all these questions. Do you want to learn how to quilt? Do you want to embroider? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. The answer is yes. I guess I want to do all of it. I want to embroider so I can put my logo on my clothes, I guess. I didn't know. I just wanted to make the picture. Here's the picture. Let me make that. That's all I want to do. I don't really know about anything else. Before I left that day, this little beauty here was mine. So I bought this machine that was a little bit on the expensive side, and people were kind of like, "You jumped right in?" I'm like, well, that's what visionary leaders do. We go all in. So I did. I went all in, and I took this class. Now, I'm listening and I'm following directions as best as I can, but what I didn't know is they use words different than I did, and I didn't know what some of it meant. But my friend was there, and she helped me, thankfully, because I don't know what I would have done. And the teacher, who's now a good friend of mine, he helped me. So they knew I was a rookie. That beginner's mind idea really helped me, because there's a lot of precision. And I don't know if you can see in this quilt, there's all these seams that line up exactly perfectly. So if you're a perfectionist like me, this could really make you go crazy. Or if you're not a perfectionist, if you get it close enough for government work, you're good. And so, of course, I liked everything to be perfect, and I learned very quickly that as a very beginner, that's a bad idea. So all they kept saying is, done is better than not done, than perfect. I'm like, okay. So I kept going, but I was pretty good at the 1/4-inch seams and the matching things up. I was already pretty good at that because I have a good eye. And so I'm doing it and I'm making it, and we're having so much fun. And so what I learned was having that beginner's mind paid off. Because the truth is, I'm an expert in a lot of things. So I had to be teachable. I had to listen in a different way than I was used to listening, because I wasn't listening to problems or helping somebody build a business. I was learning how to do something that seems easy, that's not as easy as it looks, if you want it to look nice. This quilt, I've made several quilts after the one we're talking about. Oh, and when I had to buy the fabric for that first quilt, oh my living word. If it wasn't for my friend, I would never have made it. I had to go to the store and get 3 ranges of variation or something. And so she's showing me how on my phone you can put a setting on your camera to tell. And if she wouldn't help me get the fabric, I wouldn't have even known where to even buy the right color combination of light, medium, and dark fabric necessary to make the 3D effect. Because what I learned was the color might look light, medium, and dark, but when you put them together by how their vibration is, so to speak, it may not look that way. I'm having fun learning this quilting thing, and there was this other lady in the class going, that machine's like so expensive, and I can't believe it's your first machine. Well, by the end, the lady loved me. She even gave me a little present. She goes, you're really something. I said, well, I'm having fun and I'm learning something new. I learned a value in a really tangible way of beginner's mind and reminded myself that I don't have to be perfect. In fact, I was a beginner really, so they all loved the fact that I was having fun not being perfect. So I got rewarded for my willingness to learn and make mistakes. But then as I made the quilt, and then I also learned that the classes, you didn't have the quilt done. Oh no, you had to do homework. Nobody told me that either. So I'm home and I have my beautiful quilting table that I have since bought because I'm a visionary leader and I have to have it all lined up. I have to have all the stuff, right? That's what overexcitability gifted people do. We have to have all the stuff to go with the thing we're into. We just don't do it halfway. We're all in. So I have my table, I have my new machine, I have all the right thread. I'm ready to go. So I'm working on cutting and piecing this quilt. And I realized something. I realized that I wasn't as stressed out. I realized that I slept better at night. I realized that I wasn't short-tempered with some people that I was short-tempered with before. And I realized that it was better than a therapist. Ha! Check that out. I didn't think of that. So I got to use that part of my brain that loves the precision and having everything line up, because I love to do that, in concert with that part of me that loves the creativity and the color. This quilt even has some thread that sparkles in it. And so I got to be creative and use that part of my brain to see how it was all going to go together. It really gave me relief from my stress in my life, from even when it was cold outside in the winter. I don't do cold. I'm in Florida. I don't do cold. So I would just stay in and quilt, and it was drink my tea, and it was beautiful, and it was so grounding. And I found it to be this most amazing meditation, because I could just be in my zone, creating, feeling the cotton, and not having to worry about whatever was going on in the world. And so it gave me a great relief. And I started telling some of my friends, I said, I have an intellectual overexcitability. My brain goes very fast, as you can tell. And sometimes that gets me tired, or sometimes I struggle with that stress from it. It's not easy to have this. And quilting and being creative has given me a way to stay grounded and be calm and meditate and all of those other things. So it's really kind of fun. That's why I want to do this video, because there's always something out there for anybody who can balance our right and left hemispheres of our brain. All of us visionary leaders, all people, can seek something that helps us feel grounded, that's creative, that feeds our soul, that's fun. Quilting has also taught me the value of an amazing community. My friend, she's amazing. I like her so much. She asked me one day in the middle of all this quilting stuff, do you want to go on a shop hop? I'm like, I don't even know what that is. But of course, because I am a maverick and I'm kind of a renegade and I'll try anything once if it's not going to hurt us, I'm like, all right, whatever it is, let's go. So I go pick her up. She gets in the car and hands me this paper. This is your passport. I'm like, okay. So essentially, what a shop hop is you go from quilting shop to quilting shop to quilting shop, and you get their special deal and you sign up for this bonus thing, and everybody's friendly and nice, and there's all these things. Well, when I went in the first couple stores, I was really like self-conscious. Like, I have this paper and they're gonna stamp it. Like, it just felt so awkward to me. Like, what? But she just went in there just like ready to rock and roll. So I'm like, okay, well, this is a thing. And I was like introverted, like I don't know what to do, and I was awkward. And I walk in to the first store, and the lady goes, "Oh, you're here for the shop hop." I'm like, wow, okay, so it's not just me and her, like it's a thing. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. And by the end of that particular one, I was hooked. I'm like, every shop hop since then, I think there've been 2 or 3 since then, 3 I think. We've gone on all of them and finished all the stores. This last one, we just did 16 stores. We did it in a couple days. It was a blast. The sense of community and the sense of connection, even with people that I don't know, really feeds my soul. Because, our mammal brains are required to be connected to others of the same species. And it's very easy as a visionary leader to feel not as connected to others as we would like. It's very easy as an introvert and an empath like I am to kind of want to be alone a lot, because there's just a lot of static out there in the world. But for me, being able to go to these shops and have a very light day. I wasn't worrying about helping somebody through anxiety or depression. I wasn't trying to help somebody create a book or get their business going or help them come down off a really bad, situation. Didn't have to do any of that. I was almost like on mental vacation. I got to look at pretty things, buy cool stuff, and support local business owners. So the sense of community is amazing. And then I took a class. I didn't even know there was classes. So my friend said, you want to go to some preview party? That's what it's called. I'm like, what's a preview party? So of course I go. They have refreshments. And I go. I didn't know what I was doing. And then we sit in a room and they have a slideshow of all the cool quilt projects they're going to teach us if you sign up for the class. I'm like, whoa. And if you sign up for the class, you get a discount on the fabric. Okay, well, I'm going to make something else. Now, mind you, the first class I took, I didn't finish that first quilt I told you about, the 3D quilt. It wasn't done yet. So one of the classes was this quilt right here. And I think it's beautiful. I love the blues. It reminds me of the water. It's big. It's a queen size quilt. It'll fit on my bed when it's done. And I'm quilting it so it's kind of reversible. So it has this pretty like water bubbles on one side and the flowy water on the other side. And it's just really stunning. So I took the class and it was really fun. And the teacher of the class, not my first teacher, it was a different teacher. He was stunned at how straight I could sew a seam, because a lot of people have a hard time with straight lines, and how I matched them up really well because it feeds my brain to do it without the stress. And if I don't do it perfectly, oh well, keep on going. What I also learned is when you start quilting over the mistakes, things like that don't get in your way. You can quilt over them and then you don't really notice it as bad. So it's all perfect. It calms my overexcitabilities. That's a big one. Quilting helps me walk away calmer. Even if I'm frustrated or the fabric doesn't move right, there's certain gloves, there's all these different things that go with it, is at the end I feel so rewarded and so calm. And I also have a really cool thing. I have a project. I have something that's tangible that I worked on that I can give away or I can keep. It doesn't really matter. But that sense of being able to have something completed that I did that also helped me ground myself and feel really good, all work together for the good. It's really kind of amazing. So it's funny to think that I quilt. Like, I still laugh about how much I loved it. Like, I love it. And when I just moved recently, and when I was looking at places to live, my only really requirement was a garage for my car and a room big enough for my quilting table, because it's a big table when it folds out. And I want to be able to enjoy my sewing and my quilting. Like, I wouldn't have figured that 3 years ago before I looked at the picture on her phone in the church bookstore. Like, come on, right? But that's what us visionary leaders do. We get it interested in something and we dive all in until we're done, and then we move on, right? But what I've done is I haven't moved on away from quilting. I've moved on and learned more things. Like, this machine will embroider all kinds of things. It will do embroidery on quilting. I've learned how to use a curved ruler and all these different things, because there's way more to it than I imagined. So it keeps my mind sharp and alert, and I get to keep learning, and I get to keep practicing not being a perfectionist, and I get to keep meeting new people and experiencing a world that I previously didn't know. That keeps me grounded and keeps me happy. So I suggest that maybe you, as a visionary leader, reflect on your life and say, what creative things do I enjoy? Not just as a consumer of the product, but as a participant. Meaning, a lot of people I know love to listen to music, but have you ever tried playing it? Because that's a whole different level of satisfaction and fun and amazement. My mom was a concert pianist, and I went to bed every night to all of the classical greats. Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin was her favorite. And I still have a love for classical music because that was her grounding way, her creative way to end her day. But I love this experience, and I'm really grateful that as a visionary, gifted person, I followed that kind of quirky, I want to make that, all the way to this great end, because I could have looked at the picture on my friend's phone like many people did, she showed it to, and said, oh, that's really cool, good for you, and never followed my curiosity. And had I never followed my curiosity, I never would have learned the value in using my right and left brains together in a project that helps harmonize my brain calm me down and work as or more effectively than just about any other meditation I do. So for all of us in this stressful time or these really high energy times, it's so important, I think, to have a way to calm ourselves down and be grounded and enjoy ourselves. And this particular kind of calming for me yields a really amazing result. So this beautiful quilt will eventually go on my bed. It's a queen size. It's bigger than some of the others I've made. And I don't know, probably about halfway, not quite halfway done quilting it. And so you make the top, and then you make a sandwich with the batting in it and the back, and then you quilt it. So anyway, go find something creative and fun and let me know what it is that you're doing. Show me some pictures, tell me about it, because when you find a creative, fun thing to do, then you too will be able to be grounded, and you'll be able to be happy, and you'll be able to realize that there's more to life than our limited brains will let us see. So go be curious, and until the next time you hear from me, be well. Thank you for watching. I hope this episode really touched your heart. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends, and ring that bell so you too will know the next time I post another video. And in the meantime, be well.